think we'll leave the basement for a game.
I was going to take.
What do you watch it on? Seems like everything you gotta pay too.
I'm really upset about Netherlands losing.
About Germany losing?
It was a great match, yeah. I was quite upset.
Okay, happy July it is.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call this meeting to order. If you'd join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Part of today's opening ceremony is the invocation, I believe, is with Commissioner Nelson.
Yes, thank you. Rabbi, you may go to the podium. It's my privilege to welcome Rabbi Eliabel Shemtov, the founding rabbi of the Chabad Jewish Community Center in Traverse City. Rabbi Shemtov and his wife Chaya have established a vibrant center that serves the Jewish community throughout northern Michigan while building bridges of understanding and friendship across our entire community. We appreciate Rabbi Shemtov accepting my invitation to offer today's invocation and are honored to have him with us. Rabbi?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I got right started. By the grace of God, Almighty God, Master of the universe, bless the members and the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners, convened here to fulfill one of the 7 commandments, which you first issued to Adam at the time of his creation, and then reissued to Noah and his sons after the great flood. At the dawn of civilization, you issued the following 7 laws, which came to be known as the seven Noahide laws. To worship you alone and not to serve idols, never to blossom your holy name, not to murder, not to commit idolatry or any other immoral behavior, not to steal, lie, or cheat, not to be cruel to the living creatures, and that every society governed by just laws which are based in the recognition and acknowledgement of you, O God, as the sovereignty ruler of all people and of all nations. We, the citizens of the blessed county of the United States of America, publicly proclaim this recognition and our commitment to justice in our pledge of allegiance, one nation under God, the liberty and justice to all. Grant us, Almighty God, and those assembled here to help govern the Grand Traverse County, be mindful of your presence and conduct their deliberations accordingly. Bless them with the good health, wisdom, compassion, God cheer, and good fellowship. May they consistently realize that in the laboring for the enactment of just and fair policies, they are doing your will. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Gavin, when you're ready, you can do a roll call for us, please.
Certainly. Commissioner McAllister?
Here.
Commissioner Flynn?
Here. Gotta use your mic.
Thank you. Commissioner Walter?
Here.
Commissioner Spence?
Here.
Commissioner Henschel?
I'm here.
Commissioner Nelson?
Here.
Commissioner Andrews?
Here.
Commissioner Morris?
Here.
Commissioner Seifert?
Here. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Keeping the ball rolling, we're going to move into first public comment. When you're ready, Mr. Gedman.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provisions of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board may state his or her name and township or district. Providing a specific address is not recommended. Persons may address the board on matters or issues which are relevant and germane to county government as determined by the chair. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chair shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chair may, at his or her discretion, allow an additional opportunity or time to speak if determined germane and necessary to the discussion. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment may be received during a meeting when a specific agenda topic is scheduled for discussion by the board. Prior to the first public comment, the chair will indicate the topics on the agenda for which public comment will be accepted. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chair. The board shall not comment or respond to a person who is addressing the board. Silence or non-response from the board should not be interpreted as disinterest or disagreement by the board. Please be respectful and refrain from personal or political attacks.
Thank you, Mr. Gedman. Anybody willing to speak at this time, please go right up to the podium. Going once, going twice. All righty, we're going to move right along. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to look for an approval agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Sweet, we have a motion by Commissioner Henschel, a second by Commissioner McAllister to approve the agenda as presented. Comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you. Consent calendar.
So sorry.
You're all right.
That's
I
me.
talk faster than you write. That is okay. We can slow down.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. All information identified on the consent calendar can be viewed in its entirety on the county's website. Motions to receive. A1, Board of Public Works, May 2025 meeting minutes. Item A2, the Northwest Regional Airport Authority, April 2026 meeting minutes. Item A3, Parks and Recreation Commission, May 2026 meeting minutes. Item A4, the Department of Health and Human Services, May 2026 meeting minutes. Item A5, an expenditures report. Item A6, the Aurelian AI call taking update. Items for approval. B1, adoption of Board of Commission meeting minutes. Item B2, roof fluid application restoration at the Hall of Justice. Item B3, an operations audit. Item B4, Family Court Child Care Fund 2026-2027 budget approval. Item B5, Cole Stoker Toski PC agreement fee review. Item B6, Commission on Aging Advisory Board updated bylaws. Item B7, 2027 outside agency funding request for Catholic Human Services / Senior Companion Program. Item B8, fiscal year 2027 matching funds request, Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan. Item B9, communications tower removal, Mapleton and Fife Lake. Item B10, managed services contract, I3 verticals. Item B11, Grand Bay promotions agreement. And item B12, May 2026 claims approval.
Thank you, Mr. Gedman. Anybody like anything removed from the consent calendar at this time? Being that there is none. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies, Commissioner Walter.
B11.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent calendar with the exception of item B11.
Second.
All right, we have a removal of B11 at the request of Commissioner Walter. We have a motion by Commissioner Henschel. We approve the consent calendar with the exception of B11. And it was seconded by Commissioner McAllister. Any more comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Gedman, a roll call vote, if you please, when you have an opportunity.
Commissioner McAllister?
Yes.
Commissioner Flynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Walter?
Yes.
Commissioner Spence?
Yes.
Commissioner Henschel?
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Andrews? Yes. Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifert?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Moving right along. Boy, anyway, I was going to jinx us there for a minute, so I stopped myself. It's hot. So we're going to do 6 and 7. We have nothing for 6, so I guess we're going to go right to B11.
Thanks. Well, I just had a question because the item on the agenda said to extend the agreement on a month-by-month basis, but then the actual attachment has it as an annual commitment for another 12 months at $4,000 per month. So that's the monthly payment, but it's not month to month. So I just want to get a little overview of where we are with it in light of our discussion about having possibly budgeting for a communications officer starting next year and how this aligns with that. So can you just walk us through what
Yes.
that's looking
Yes.
like?
Thank you, Commissioner Walter. That is my error. It is a month-to-month. I changed the recommendation, but not the body. My apologies for that. So this was a discussion that we had with the Agenda Review Work Group and trying to feather in just the concept of we have a PIO that the board has an interest in for 2027. We don't have that currently, so we were hoping to have a continuance of the agreement with Grand Bay Promotions until we are able to say we're comfortable with where we are with the marketing and PIO functions with internal staff, and that is the reason that we have a month-to-month agreement versus an annual agreement. But it is still within our understanding that the Board of Commissioners wants us to come forward through the budget process with a PIO, and we will do just that.
Okay, so do we need to change the language in here if we want to prove it to a month-to-month? And then is that, I'm assuming you've already chatted with them about it being a month-to-month?
I have.
Okay,
Yeah, I think the recommendation is sufficient. The body, yeah, that's my error, but I think the recommendation is sufficient to move forward today.
okay, then I'll make the motion to approve the agreement with Grand Bay Promotions on a month-by-month basis as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Walter made a motion to approve B11 as extend the agreement with Grand Bay Promotions on a month-to-month basis. We have a second by Commissioner Flynn. Comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing there are none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you, everyone. All right, so no 6 and no, we are on 7, my apologies. Number 8A, Health Department. Mr. Leahy, Mr. Alger.
Commissioners, the health officer, Mr. Leahy, would like to give you an update on the opioid spending plan and the process therein.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Leahy, our Health Department. Thank you for your time today. I'll try to be efficient with it. I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update and discussion around where we're at in the opioid spend plan. Really, today's objective through the language in the board packet that I submitted was to have a discussion around board preferences as we really start to dial in on how to spend these dollars. We've done some of the community prioritizations that I've put in this PowerPoint, but really wanted to garner some board feedback on the language within the request for proposal around how the community can apply for these funds, how we intend to open them up in that application process. So we'll dive into that. So understand this is just a discussion. My plan is to come back in August or September with the RFP on an agenda for these words for you to review these words that we incorporate here today. So not making any motions or asks for us to approve anything or adopt anything just yet. So where are we at? How did we get here? I always like to kind of go back. You all see a lot of items in front of you. Completed work in '25. The Health Department received approval to assist with how we can spend these dollars within our county. One of those was the development of a committee. And the Health Department published a request for participation in January of '26 with 18 received applicants. We went through some conversations, some interviews with those, and we ultimately selected our advisory committee. A few of those members are actually here in the room for support, so I appreciate that. But you see a good intended mix and diversification of those who provide services to the priorities in which we were analyzing and ranking. So you see board representation, public health representation, public safety, community corrections. We have prevention, recovery, and even a healthcare provider who provides services in the community that we were prioritizing and assessing within the community needs assessment. So simultaneously, while we were seating that committee, our public health department started the community assessment and gap analysis that was published by Michigan Association of Counties. I had put that before the board in previous updates. And rather than having that committee meet and then have to start from ground zero, I asked a number of public health professionals in our department to get going on that so that we could hit the ground running once that committee was seated. So in May of June, the assessment tool was scored by the committee. There was a collaborative meeting in April in which the public health team in which completed the assessment was made available. There's a few sets of slides at the end of the board packet that I provided. That was some presentations from our epidemiologists, our health educators, and our medical directors who really did a majority of the lion's share of that assessment, communicating with all of those partners that I list in a future slide here. So that was May and June, and then just a notation here. The committee met on June 25th. I have submitted these materials right around that time, so we have had some pretty lengthy discussion since all of this was put in front of the board packet. Majority of that was really diving into the RFP and how we want to write the language in there for the community to apply for those funds, and it's really where I want to garner some feedback from the board here today. So as I mentioned, just for reference, you can see, and it's in your packet as well, it's rather small here, but just the breadth of community partners and service providers that our teams connected with, conducted interviews, ran through the assessment to complete that assessment that was included in the packet. And again, on the 25th, we finished scoring out that assessment tool. Okay. Just a little background history of the work that the committee has done, the meeting cadence, where we do follow the Open Meetings Act, and we hold those meetings at the health department. And as you see, we met just on the 25th of June, and we completed the assessment scoring and dove into the RFP language. Within the completion of that scoring tool, we have begun to establish the priorities based off the MAC tool and what we have in our community. I'll say there's parallels to the previous work that was done, right? I think we're deriving at it from a different angle, and I think our output is a little different, but I do see similarities in those priorities. I have that at the last slide. Absolutely can have a discussion about that if we'd like once we get through some of the funding items. Again, so with the priorities within that scoring, that doesn't exclude service providers, right? What that will present in the RFP is in Grand Traverse County, these are what's most needed. But it's not meant to be exclusionary, but it will factor in with the absolute scoring once that committee has that RFP out there, begins to receive proposals. That prioritization will factor into the scoring that the committee places that ultimately makes recommendations to the board here. So what's next? Really is the committee's focused on the request for proposal. I would say we have the language itself boiled down to about 85–90% completed. So while in the language here, 10/1 is the date that we have. I will kick myself for saying this, but I'm hoping we're more so online for like a September one, but we'll see. So as you read through the RFP, Cliff Notes jumping to item 8, which is really where we dive into the funding portion of the dollars in which Grand Traverse County has as it pertains to opioid dollars and how the community can apply for those funds and really the parameters around that. Are we putting caps on the dollars amount that in which we're making available? What is the cadence? Do we have a preference in the duration of time that a proposal come to us? Are we open to multi-year items? Are we looking for a 1 year? What are the dollar amounts that we want to? So that's where I really want to garner some feedback, some discussion in the room here, weave that into the RFP, bring it back to the board here in the coming meeting for approval. Just to kind of put things in perspective, settlement dollars, just a little update as to kind of where we're at, what we have to even work with. And expenditures to date, roughly. So,
Mike,
go ahead. Yeah.
Those are expenditures end of 2025.
End of 25.
Correct.
And just since there's a pause, that the 8th District Circuit Drug Court, 14,000, our understanding is that was an allocation, but not is probably not fully expended.
Correct.
And we're going to get an update on that, I believe, by the end, coming up, right?
I think sometime in August, was that the request?
I believe so.
I believe so.
I believe that, we know that that is requested.
So the lighter blue slide here is language that is pulled from the RFP. I have 2 slides that dive into each paragraph, but just kind of cliff noting for you all right to the RFP where we're dialing into some of our questions. So as you can see here, we have 2 considerations as to how we roll out this funding, how we make it available to the community. And that is through a mini grant opportunity that we've seen in a number of other partner jurisdictions and counties in the state. Those are more of an expedited grant application process, more expedited access to those grant dollars, and may not have to go through the labor-intensive review and application process and ultimate recommendation for maybe creating a new program or service in the community in which we really want to see an annual budget and where this fits into the need of the community. So the mini grant is there to really drive at getting some of these funds out into the community as soon as we can to really provide some of those little just supports to get an organization or a service provider over a hump or keep them running for the rest of 26. So, at the end of the day, you see right now we have written individual awards of $10,000 and under, an expedited application process, so would not have to go through the lengthy process that was in the draft RFP that was submitted on the for you all in this packet. The application and grant period run concurrently. So the minute it's opened, the committee can begin to receive those and award them. Whereas a grant application window for the larger grant, the grant period may not start till the 1st of January, say, right? 1st of 2026, show us your budget for 2026, and the awards go out for 26, whereas the mini grant, concurrently.
Do you want questions as you go?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions on the mini grant. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
A couple questions on the process. So this is, to deploy these funds yet this year. That's the intent. And so let's say I'm an organization. I have a gap of funding for $8,000. I want to apply for this grant. Mm-hmm. Who reviews it initially? Like, what's the rest of that process like? I see italicized board review and approval, but can you talk us through what that looks like to get some of these, to get this $100,000 out into the community in the next several months?
Yep. So the discussion that we had on the 25th would factor in a cadence within the RFP language that these would be received and reviewed monthly by the committee and then ultimately brought to the board once they've run through committee and the committee approves for recommendation to come back to the board here for me to present the committee's recommendation. So on a monthly revolving basis, we would be reviewing those as a committee and then bringing them to the board here, intended through the rest of these board meetings of 2026, right? We are 26. And then as you dive into the larger grant, the intention would hopefully be to be bringing some larger grant proposals to this board end of the year, October, November, for fiscal year 27 for some of the larger grant applications.
Okay.
What we discussed was for the mini grants would be if the opening date is October 1st through December 15th, every monthly meeting we'd be like reviewing like, okay, October 15th would be a deadline for some money to go out. If more people come out and that way. With the larger grants, it would be, it opens on October 1st, have it by December 15th, and then we decide after that, for the larger ones.
So it sounds like you're expecting fewer than $100,000 worth of applications at the front end. Otherwise, it would just end the first opening, right? Like if you got 20 applications.
I would guess not,
for
but
$8,000.
Well, that was part of the words I wanted to put in front of us, right? $100,000 is where we started in the committee conversation on the 25th of June. We anticipate a high uptake and hopefully a successful 26 of this. So there's openness to bring this back to the board here for 27, say, hey, mini grants were a huge success. We're going to ask for approval to spend $250, $200, whatever, for the whole duration of 27. So we don't plan, I think it would be best if we opened up more opportunity. 100,000 is just where we started, right? Completely open for input or discussion if the board feels one way or the other on it. Yeah.
Since we're taking some questions, did I hear you speak to the $10,000 individual awards and who those would be fit to?
So it would be the same criteria for the mini grant and the larger grant as you look in the RFP who is applicable to apply for these funds. So that applicant pool is the same within the community.
It's just not a lot of money, so I'm wondering like what that would be tailored for. Give me an example.
I think so. A couple things in the prioritization. Transportation is a huge one still, right? So also outreach across all of the prevention, recovery, treatment. Outreach is another large one that's woven into all of those categories. So is there a need for a service provider to acquire some dollars to better outreach to the community? Hey, we're here, right? This is what we do. These are the services we provide. I think the committee's really seeing that some of those, that grout, I like to call it, right? So you have the tiles, which are, the service provider, right? And then that grout is kind of mixing it, like connecting us all as to one community and weaving them together. There's some gaps there, right? So what kind of dollars can we get out into the community that those agencies, service providers can immediately deploy to try to connect, even themselves?
usually with smaller mini grants like that, there's less reporting or less so it's quicker to get it out to the community or get out to the organization. And then it's just one quick report. When you're doing programming and it's larger grants, there's a lot more data to collect and a lot more information to collect. So these are like mini grants, so let's just quickly get a step out
Yeah, I
to
guess
start
that's a-
collecting data for our community to see how this money can affect the community.
Thank you. I guess I was thinking about the person in the office who has to apply for a $10,000 individual award. It's a lot of effort
Yep.
for not a lot of money, but maybe it's going to be a simple
I stated there needs to be
process.
two different applications for.
There'll be two different applications and also two very different reporting requirements with both. Just to note, this is also some of the great conversation we had on the 25th, so
So,
we're
and
on the same page.
I'll just note that we've heard from a number of very small organizations. I'm thinking of faith-based groups and grassroots nonprofits, organizations who need a funding support or supply for things like bus passes, right? Like they're engaging with a community. Maybe it's at a job fair or at Michigan Works, where you've got your budget, you've got all these things, but you just don't have a fund that's available to help people with incidental things like, all of a sudden my kid needs drug testing, to stay out of jail, and I don't have a budget for it. So $10,000 can go a long way to support an organization to have a line item on its budget that's available throughout the year to provide resources like that. That is meeting people where they are and getting resources where they need to without a huge amount of oversight, right? There's going to be some trust here, right? They're going to have to, because we're not going to get...
And follow-up too, though. I mean,
well,
it'll be an ongoing
follow-up, but to the point of like, how do we evaluate if this worked? We're going to be able to tell that we distributed it very quickly, right? Like the forms were checked and the checks were made, but we're not going to really be able to evaluate by January or by the time, did it work, right? Because that's for two reasons. One, the money will only go out, say, at the earliest November 1st. That's the earliest possible anybody gets a check.
Yeah.
And $10,000, unless they're spending down a capital debt or some buying a piece of equipment, maybe drug testing or something, $10,000, they're probably spending it over some amount of time, and we're not going to know, the committee's not going to know if it worked, both because it's too soon by January, and second, because we're not asking them for a whole bunch of reporting by design. So there's going to be, which goes back to my point, there's going to be a little bit of trust here when you give it to, say, Networks, Michigan Works, to use it for this thing. We're not going to know until maybe a year later, it's potentially much later, how they got the funding out. So anyway, that's why those mini grants, yes, there's some level of effort in it. I'm not sure how we make it any easier to get these funds out in the community to the places where it works. Sorry, Commissioner Walter.
Although it sounds like you might be able to expedite it to have the process start in September instead of October. And I would encourage that because,
He'll have to kick himself.
by the time the committee gets together and then it gets to us and all of that, if we can bump it up a month, that would be great. Especially since it seems somewhat simple. I know nothing is, but
We have been meeting twice a month.
Yeah.
So we have been expediting these meetings, but it also now is Cherry Festival. So July is going to be a tough one, I think, for our schedule, but we're working on it.
With this conversation here and the 25th that we had, I see us having a draft RFP completed through the month of July and in front of the board in August. So
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Thank you. So, Mr. Leahy and the advisory committee, thanks for this. This is well laid out and organized, kind of customary to the work you've done in the past on these things. So, I really appreciate that. I hope, I've been through a couple of funding rounds where we're giving out money like this, and I hope that we use this process and not have those discussions up here at the board level, because frankly, it's not our purpose, and we're not very good at it. So having this structure, and I thank you on the committee and the other members for putting this together, I think this is a very workable and well laid out process that's going to be better than what we've done in the past. So I appreciate that. I do want to hear from administrator, including deputy administrator and dean, treasury director or finance director, to make sure that that finance director doesn't have any concerns about this in the process. And I know Mr. Forsythe has been pretty involved in all that. So from the three of you guys or anyone else that may give us any other information that we need.
I'm pleased with this process. I'm happy with the product that they've created, and I'll let Dean answer from his perspective, but we're comfortable with this.
I have not been directly involved in this, but I don't see any major issues with this. I mean, if they're following their application review process and they request payments to be made, we'll be able to make those payments based on the requirements to receive those payments. I just don't know what those requirements are at this
We
point.
have,
so.
Yeah, I echo what the commissioners have already said. We also have heard a lot of questions asking about process when these funds will become available, how they will be applied, and we will have a contract with each individual entity or however organization that will mandate that they follow the rules essentially. And well, the process is good. I am grateful for the team that put it together.
Yeah, my role in this entire process per the spending plan is really to provide executive support to Mike and the committee when needed. And then, as I've been doing now for the last 7 years, is tracking, in constant contact with outside counsel to get updated on settlements, when the dollars are coming. And when it comes to tracking the dollars, the Attorney General has put together great resources together with Michigan Association of Counties. So all the numbers that are included in the slide deck have been confirmed through the Attorney General's website, through Michigan Association of Counties, together with the updates we get from the third-party settlement administrator. I will say that, and I've shared this with the committee, is that the Attorney General in 2025 asked every unit of government getting these funds to give a report on what you've done with the funds. I don't think this is surprising when I say this, but very few units of government are spending their dollars quickly. It's a small percentage of revenue received that's actually going out the door. So I do look forward to continue to work with Mike, the committee, his team, and starting to get these dollars spent.
Mike, question about the,
One more.
sorry, did you have a
I'm sorry.
follow-up?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. So in light of that, I don't want to cut off any further discussion, but I'll make a motion that's on the last page here that basically states the Board of Commissioners authorizes the board chair, the county administrator to effectuate the necessary documents to implement the board authorized action. So let's to get this moving forward.
Second.
Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Nelson, a second by Commissioner McAllister, that we approve, a motion to approve the resolution as presented. Commissioner Walter?
Yeah, just a question on those folks who are going to be applying yet this year for the mini grants. It doesn't preclude them from applying in the future for a larger grant or another mini grant, because I'm just thinking like, you know, some of these things that keep coming up, transportation, testing, you know, those aren't going away anytime.
Exactly.
Those needs aren't going away. So I just want to make sure they can then apply in a couple months for
Yeah.
a larger grant. Like this might get them through this year, but then they can apply for a larger grant for, say, transportation needs for the next 2 years or something. That's possible?
Yep.
Okay.
And
100%.
with this, you know, I anticipate something like more of an impact statement with the reporting for the mini grants, right, for us to receive. So to the vice chair's point, we may not be able to attain all of that feedback just yet in '26, but with a successful deployment of these funds, to have conversation for what this looks like in '27. And those applicants that maybe have a great impact statement for how this worked in '26, do they have a need for '27? Because maybe not everybody needs 50, 60, 70, or has the means to onboard that kind of capital and deploy it and track it and all of that. So what I'm hearing is moving forward with $100,000 in mini grant window in the current RFP, and I'm not like it. Good.
Commissioner Renschel, go ahead.
I just got to make my token statements.
Yeah.
About the opioid dollars. There was a bad actor in our society that caused county governments a lot of strain to provide law enforcement, to provide courts, to provide treatment, and that's what these settlement dollars are about. So I appreciate all of your efforts to make sure that these dollars are used at their best possible value per dollar. During those years, You know, our sheriff's department had to do without some things because all of their efforts were going towards this situation created by those producing and pushing opioids in society. So, you know, I hope that some of this goes to bolster our courts and our sheriff's department. And in what, in my mind, when we started this whole journey was to reimburse and basically re-equip so they can do the job they're supposed to do. And jobs that they were prevented from doing partially, or they were under strain to do because we had all these people that got addicted. And when people get addicted, they commit crimes. And we had this rash of bad things happening in our community due to bad actors, which have now reimbursed us. And I hope we don't get too caught up in all the red tape. And I know, you know, you personally feel that way as well, that, you know, you have to have structure, but, you know, if that red tape becomes more important than the value of the dollars and that the impact that they make, then we've missed the mark. So I just want to thank you all for a lot of effort has gone into this, and I'm hoping for the best. Thank you.
Commissioner Andrews.
Yeah,
Something's on.
I mean, I do want to strike back against the idea that this is illegal, this is a criminal problem, this is a medical problem, this is a public health issue. The guy in my district died from an overdose. He didn't commit a crime. He had a surgery that led to an addiction. And his family is recovering from that, and the continuation of the stigma that this is a criminal problem instead of a public health problem is part of the problem we are literally trying to overcome right here, right now. And I just want to take issue on the record with that. I do want to ask about priority number 5, which is the criminal legal section of the RFP. I'm interested to know how we're going to use these funds to expand MOUD in corrections and diversion and with diversion, given that those seem to be things we've been interested in doing. I understand that MOUD is funded by NMRE, I believe, that if those funds are still available. What do you envision that means? And then second, how do we ensure continuity? Most jail stays are very short. Once you're out, your access to resources that you had while you were in there will end. So how do can we look down the horizon at continuity?
Yep.
That seems to be a huge problem. That's countering recidivism or increasing recidivism and countering success in that area. And then diversion, we'd like to see increases. How do you anticipate? We've put additional funds. We've created new positions in that area, at least in our realm. How do you see these funds being successful under that priority area?
So I think the first item, to your point, is connecting the existing services for the continuity of care. That's kind of going back to the grout conversation. You have corrections, the criminal legal aspect, but once you're either diverted from that system or exiting that system, what resources are there for you to land in and support you? So I think some of that comes to outreach as well as education and then access to. I hear transportation continues to come up a lot during that. I also don't want to put the cart before the horse too much yet. I do want to see what words come into us from the community about the services that they can provide. I think we have the right mix of professionals on the committee who probably have a really good idea of what may be coming in the application process, whether it's mini or full, to address the benchmarks that you're referring to. But I'm thinking more so around the outreach and filling in some of those gaps between the service providers. I know I keep saying transportation, but as we interview and sit down with the folks on that side of the priority list, access to is always coming back up, right? So you're no longer incarcerated, you've been diverted away from incarceration, but how do you gain access to recovery or treatment or the services in which you need in order to meet the requirements of maybe your exit from incarceration? Looking through the trees, I could maybe see it going that way a bit. Yes.
Chair?
Commissioner Elster.
So I think the importance of having the criminal legal part of this is many people with substance use disorders, many people that, which these funds are allocated for, enter in through the criminal legal avenue. I'll use the term. And then we want, as you just aptly explained, to divert them into, the criminal system is not just about punishment. The criminal system is about trying to reduce the recidivism and how to get those people the help that they need so that they're not coming back and that their life goes down a different path. And I wondered if the sheriff, because he's here, if you have any comments about what we've been discussing. It's up to the chair, I guess, whether
It's fine
come
by
up,
me.
but it might be helpful for us.
I think what Mr. Leahy conveyed is spot on in the sense that if someone is suffering from opioid use disorder, they don't necessarily belong in jail. They need treatment, and if we can somehow provide that treatment to them, we not only divert them from jail, but we prevent them from reoccurring or reoffending and ending up back in jail. And that warm handoff and identifying services that could be provided to them that they might not even know about could fill those gaps. And the priorities that are on your screen, that's not really something we came up with. That is what all of the input from our community members gave us. And so we are taking it and going, okay, based on the information we received, these 5 priorities have been identified. Now we have to step back and say, okay, who is going to submit a request for this funding, and how is that going to fit into those 5 categories? And that's the way that, at least that's the way that I am viewing this approach, and I think I'm correct in the rest of the committee doing that. Maybe it'll be weighted. Maybe you'll have the vast majority will come in under priority number 1 and 3. We don't know. We just know that these are the 5 top priorities that were identified. And now we have to see what requests are going to come in that could utilize these funds moving forward. The one thing that I would like to add that we have had discussion about, and this is completely up to the board, is what are you looking at for this initial disbursement? Are you looking at, right now, currently just over $2 million? Do you want to see all that go out? Do you want to see a cap in this first go-around? We don't know. We need to hear from you on what your thoughts are in 2026, moving into 2027. Did I jump ahead on your slide?
I mean, you're covering
Taking
all
your
the
thunder?
bases.
Okay. Anyhow, with that, I'll turn it back over to Mike. I don't know if that helps
Oh,
you
thank
with
you.
the ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. So just jumping, great prelude to then the question that I had for consideration on the larger grant. To the Sheriff's point, we ultimately do have dollars that we have within our possession at the county that we've received thus far, and we've talked about up to $100,000 in mini grants, about making those funds available as soon as 26. But as we look to 27, as we look to the larger grant application process of those dollars that we have, a question that the committee has for the board is, where do we want to go from there? Do we want to cap that? Is there a cap in 27 that we would say we have this X amount of dollars, we only want to spend X of that in 27? I do think it's important to have some general direction on that so that we can put those words into the RFP so that applicants can see, hey, I need $500,000 to build this or provide this, but if we're not willing to distribute that in a successful grant application, I'd hate for them to go through that lengthy process of a grant application. So ultimately, I think we're looking at for some general sense there on the intention. Yeah.
Mr. McAllister?
So on that, what did you as a board decide the best way to proceed is, as you're talking to us about approving something? You gave us information about making a decision, but it's all, I mean, what is your recommendation, I guess is what I'm looking for. And what did the board as a group decide would be the best way to do the most amount of good for the area? And what kind of time frame would you be looking at?
On the 25th, in the committee discussion, and please, Commissioner Flynn, fill in where I miss. I think we kept coming back to a cap may be restrictive as to what we can actually see an applicant present and deploy in 27. So as long as we're, as a committee, have that diversified and objective view of the prioritizations, and we as a committee agree to that, and then ultimately take it back to the board here for final approval, placing a cap on it, it wasn't the most popular option in the room, but Commissioner Flynn?
100%. Putting a cap on it, I feel like that kind of like doesn't restricts the ideas and the thoughts that organizations might come to us with. That doesn't mean we have to fund the entire amount, but at least showing what they have and what they can do with their community. But I mean, 2.3 million is not a lot. So I mean, easily someone could come ask for 500,000, and that's what, a quarter of it. So that's, but I don't like the idea of a cap just because that restricts the ideas and the plans that could come to us.
And I think to that point,
but I also don't agree. Let's not say we're gonna spend all of it.
The goal isn't to spend it all right away.
Right, but I don't want to restrict the thoughts and ideas and ideas that come to us.
and to that point, the committee, I think, is prepared to, if receiving an application for $1 million, say, right, make a recommendation to the board that this is supported by the committee. However, the ranking of the prioritizations suggests that we award them 500 of the million, right?
I don't see myself ever approving $1 million
Yeah.
project plan, but
Mr. Leahy, I thought when we first got this process going, when we were establishing the committee, we talked about some money staying for internal use, 2 tracks. So just to clarify, this is just for community grants.
We've had this conversation, and if county departments, organizations need to apply, go through the RFP process just the same.
So I don't understand that then, because I thought we were going to have 2 tracks, one bucket of money set aside for internal use, meaning county projects related that also fit these parameters, and then some money set aside for this community grant process.
60-40.
Yeah. It was a 60-40, 2 tracks, right? 1 track community.
So how does that fit into this then?
So as we as committee on the 25th went back and looked at the spend plan, right? And looked at the language that we wrote, strive for a 60 to 40% split, right? Between the deployment of our funds was the way we worded it, so that we didn't box ourselves too much into a shall, right? So if there's a great idea and it ends up being 50-50, the committee is in a position to contemplate that and make a recommendation to the board. I think as you look through who all was interviewed and who all was a participant in the assessment tool, I don't think we're going to have a problem with some county organizations, departments, or offices being applicants in this process, whether it's community corrections or law enforcement or even public health. I think we're going to have a good, diverse array of applicants within that, both mini and the larger, that we're going to be able to attain that language of the strive for 60-40 county and community-based.
So it's the same process regardless of if you are in a you're director of a county department and you want $8,000 for something versus you are an organization in the community providing prevention
Yep.
work, you're going to go through the same process?
Yep, that was the feedback we got from Washtenaw County and a couple counties who are a little further along from us. Some didn't do it that way and made strong recommendations to do it that way.
So I think we talked about too, when we talked about the funding, the parallel paths, if you will, the 2 tracks, the 60/40, that we also encourage collaboration, right, between the, of course, that's happening so much now, right? Nobody's in a bubble. There's county departments working in collaboration with organizations already every day.
Yep.
And then that the process encourages that too, the RFP or
Yep.
the grant encourages that collaboration.
I will
for
say
better
a side win
leverage.
from all of this that I'm observing is the new collaboration and the new conversations that are happening between the public health department, the sheriff's office, community corrections, ATS, all of those community-based Catholic Human Services. The amount of new collaborations, the meeting, face to the name. If there's a win that's not in dollar amounts in this process, I think a few of us in leadership in some of those organizations have sat down over a cup of coffee and really enjoyed to see that outcome. Just last week, I had ATS give a compliment to our health educators who I had no idea they were out in the field doing a pop-up thing with their program, but we got some great compliments from that staff. So I think that's a side benefit to this, keeping this within the process that we have here.
Commissioner McAllister.
I want to say thank you for the time you put in on it. Your whole team and everybody that's on it with Lauren and everything is pretty well thought out. I'm sure you guys would be good stewards once you get the applications you got and come back to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More comments, questions, concerns? Commissioner Walter.
Clarification on the 2-year grant period and, in parentheses, multi-year applications accepted. So the vision for that is an entity or collaboration of entities has a project, they want to apply for 3 years of grant funding, or is it, what is a 2-year grant period, multi-year mean?
So, excuse me. In both the distribution of the funds, the delivery of the application for it, do we want to cap it that you can receive funding for a 24-month period of time, or is it a 1-year grant window in which you have to come back and apply for funds for 28 and 29? We've seen it done both ways. The conversation that we had as a committee was to make up to 24-month grant applications available, and with that would come reporting requirements, budgetary, and so on and so forth. So there's a couple models out there that we would then really want to work closely with Dean and his team on those contracts. That's all out there already for us from some of our partner counties across the state. But the committee really honed in on 2 was a good compromise rather than a 1 year. By the time you get up and going, 3-year might be too much, and I don't even know if we have enough funds really for that type of duration.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the multi-year. And in regards to the capping, I mean, I don't know that we need to spend all of it, but to Commissioner Flint's point, unless there's this amazing community project that is collaborative with a bunch of things and this great idea and it's for $1 million, then, I guess I don't want to, not knowing what the projects are that come to us, I'm not willing to say we're capping it yet, I guess.
Okay.
Commissioner Andrews.
Yeah, I would support capping. I think it leads to too much uncertainty in the applicant pool, that anything from, $100,000 to $2 million, whatever the total amount of funding is available. And then it just makes it really challenging to pick among them. To my mind, one of the goals we had when we established this process was some level of sustainability in funding. I think that was the pitch. We've got 18 years. You know, we're not going to try to necessarily make this money last 18 million. We think there may be additional funds, but to make sure that this is our first shot. There's going to be lessons learned. Every single county that's done this has come back and said, yeah, we learned some lessons when we did that. So I would strongly support the committee putting a total cap in. I would throw out $500,000 so that you've got so that the people who are applying know that this isn't just an unlimited pot. And I think it will help bring some discipline and planning on the front end to who's presenting applications. Otherwise, you could get so many applications covering anything from a $50,000 grant to a $2 million grant, and it's going to be really hard to rank those against each other. So
I think we're talking about two different things, so maybe we should clarify. You mean $500,000 per grant, not a total spend?
I think the total spend should be no more than $500,000 for the first year.
I disagree. We're sitting on all this money, and we've been sitting on it for a while. I do think we need to front-load it to a degree to make some kind of impact. I mean, if we just sit on this money and draw it out for years and years and years, it's like, what's...
The problem is going to go on for years and years and years and years.
But to a degree, I mean, don't you
There's
want to
not-
put more money and resources to it, to things
Prevention, to
that...
stop it, to, like,
Yeah,
not make it go
not
on
like
years and
prevention
years
for
and
20
years.
years, like...
I don't think that's the nature of a public health epidemic. It is by definition. We heard this from the public health officer that if you make it go fast, it's going to go into a capital project, a one-time spend, and then you've got no resources left.
Well, I don't agree that we would just decide it goes into a capital spend that is a
Yeah.
one-time thing and that there's no resources left. I just think $500,000 is not enough, and we're sitting on $2.5 million. Is that what I'm looking
So the-
at?
2.2.
2.3
Is that
or
the
whatever.
500,000, does that include the 100,000?
No,
Mini
I would
grants, so
do
a
the
total of
100,000
600,000?
for 2026. For 2027, you're looking at another 600,000 between the 500,000 plus, presumably, if the mini grants work, we're going to hear from this guy in a couple of months asking us to double that for 2027. So before you know it, we've got $1 million are out the door before we've got 1 minute of evaluation on how this is working.
To add to that, don't you think that whoever's asking for either $500,000 or more is trying to address these gaps, like transportation or getting people to, I'm talking about the gaps that are on page 75 of 80. Consistency and quality of resources that need improvement, including transportation, street medicine, helping with alcohol, tribal populations who live in rural areas. So regardless of what they're asking for, if their objectives are to meet these gaps that you've identified lower in this document that you shared with us, can't we figure it out based on that?
I mean, the idea that there's this silver bullet that we just don't know about, it just doesn't exist.
Correct. If you were to say something, Director Leahy.
Nobody's saying.
I think this is the exact conversation I wanted to hear. A staff of 75 and a 2-year-old, I'm pretty good at finding compromises right now in life. So I'm hearing some cap, some non. I think there's parameters in the application process that we can put on regarding sustainability in some of those words that we need to see before we as a committee even consider pushing $500,000 to $200,000 even in front of this board here, right? If those applications don't have that, I'm not going to bring that forward in my role to you all. I think hearing the words, I have an idea of how I'd like to draft it in the RFP for us all to be able to see it and review it one more time before it's, I ask for a motion to approve it. I think the committee sees the pros and cons of both sides of that coin. Today, things are, just to run a single staff member, right, in a new program, to spin something up, fully loaded cost, you're looking at $110,000, $120,000 to provide professional level services in the community. The dollars can go fast. So what is an applicant's plan to create a sustainable model if they want to, add a staffing member to their services to address the gaps that Commissioner Spence just referenced?
And can I add
Yep.
to that? I've been wanting to speak to this for a while, but then the conversation got into the capping and the amount of money. But these gaps towards the very end of this attachment are really good, and I almost feel like they could have been bumped up a little earlier because they're so important. And I think that these gaps that have been identified are really critical in figuring out like whose ask meets some of these needs the most.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I'm tracking.
Okay, thank you.
Any more comments, questions, or concerns? Mr. Leahy, you have anything else to add before we vote?
We have some members of the committee who have taken time away from their day to be here. Anything else that I missed, misspoke, let us down? Okay. Thank you.
I mean, the resolution isn't really doing anything. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But
That-
it's sort of like, I'm not really sure what we're really,
Moving
what
it
that
forward.
is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can
It's,
you
it's a
clarify it?
essentially, it's a receive and file.
Mm-hmm.
We received it, we
Yeah.
like what we heard, we gave response back, and it's authority for him to come back with a finalized plan based on our comments. Is that a correct summation?
Correct.
Fantastic. There's no more comments, questions, concerns. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Board.
Director Leahy. All right, 8B, Mr. Alger. We're doing the resolution recognizing the 100th anniversary of the National Cherry Festival. It's all you, big guy.
Yeah, thanks, sir. So we have prepared a resolution that we would like to present to the National Cherry Festival Director and Board on during the opening ceremonies on the 4th of July at the open space, and looking for, obviously, we just want to recognize the achievements of the Cherry Festival and their 100th anniversary, but also the commitments that this community has provided for the 100 years of its operation, the fact that it's now nationally renowned as a wonderful festival, community volunteers, public safety professionals, community leaders that have supported this festival for the 100 years, and asking that you approve the resolution. We'll frame it up and provide it to Kat and her board on Saturday.
So made.
Support.
The chorus.
I'm going to go with Commissioner Nelson.
Sounds good.
Wow. So, any more comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much. We're just going to keep on keeping on. Let's go right to 11, Commissioner Administration Reports. Anybody on to the left of me have anything they want to add? Commissioner Walter.
Thanks. You saw my hand starting to.
I did.
Here, I was like, wow.
See,
Well,
you got to
I
wear a
just-
shirt like Daryl, though, because it's the flag. Every time he moves, it waves.
I think it's got like little fish on it too, if I can put my glasses on to see.
I think you need
Very
glasses.
patriotic.
That's
I
a
think-
U.S. flag, that's what that is.
Yeah.
July 1.
Yeah, look at it.
They
They're
got
like
them
little
fishes, I
tiny.
think.
Anywho, I just want to share that the Animal
Aye.
Control Ad Hoc has met several times, and we haven't had a report yet, but we are going to be submitting something, hopefully to a study session. Is Mr. Leahy still around? No. We discussed bringing it to a study session for an updated ordinance process to begin on that. We also have been talking about our contract with Cherryland Humane Society and ongoing needs there, and then our millage, which won't be up for a while, but we've started to wrap our heads around what that looks like, and I think it's good to remind the public that, and us, that our animal control millage, like some of our other ones, does not cover all the costs that are related to that, and we pull that from the general fund. And we are wrapping our heads around what increased needs for animal control look like and what a new millage request, eventually, I think it probably won't be, Mr. Leahy, you walked out when I was talking about it. I just wanted to give an update on where we were with our animal control. So I think we talked about end of, the funding would go through 28, is that correct? Or it would be up for renewal in 28?
Yeah, so, and we have Dean here too, but Dean and I spoke on this collection on December 2nd of 27 to fully fund program services for the entirety of budget year 28. So the window is there to put a millage in front of the voters in November of 28 to begin funding 29 and beyond at the duration of a millage in which we so choose to put in front of the voters if we so choose. I think that gives us some time. We're going through some adjustments right now. We're going to go through some adjustments right now in how we shelter the dogs of the county through the animal control program. We're in contract discussions with Cherryland Humane Society. They're going. We will have to do something different. There is an increase in that cost that we're going to continue to discuss, but we will have to do something different in the future, and there may be a different cost to that. We had some good conversation in committee about how to approach a few new options. I thought a request for intent, right? Yep. Information being prepared by our department. And begin to step into that one parameter of the contract continuation in front of us from the Humane Society is for the county to show the intent of moving services outside of that contract. They're not looking to just drop us. They want to see that we're making progress to no longer need their services. But it is in there as an annual review before, and we are talking 3-year duration of contract with that requirement to see continued effort by the county.
So I think right when you stepped out, I was just sharing that we're going to be bringing some of this, especially to talk about the updated ordinance to an upcoming study session first. So I just wanted to give people a heads up that that's coming shortly-ish, yet this summer anyway.
We have that draft, and every time we've mentioned that with our partners, it's been well received and supported. So we would run that through our normal processes right in front of the board here for review, for public comment, and similar to how we ran our on-site wastewater. But I do think there is support in the community to look at some updated language in our ordinance that we do have a draft out there in the minutes and agenda for that committee meeting.
And one thing, thank you for that, fill in the gaps for what I missed. Appreciate it. The other thing that's come up from time to time related to that, so the animal control millage, we don't have an advisory that looks at that budget or brings back information to us. We have a couple other millages that also don't have advisory boards and some that do. And so I'm going to be, just another heads up, I'm going to be bringing for discussion in the next couple months when we can get it on an agenda, hopefully, just to discuss some more consistency with that, whether we want to have an advisory for every millage-funded bucket or not. I think we should just have a discussion about it. We have one for Commission on Aging.
That we direct the policy standing committee to take that up.
Second.
Because that's already, we do have a millage policy, and I think it could be part of the millage policy to have a board designated for the millage.
Sounds good. Just for reference, you know, we have, for example, we have a Commission on Aging advisory. We don't have one for a senior center. And there's probably, sure there's history for why some do and some don't. So thank you. I think that's a good spot for us to start with it and bring it through the millage.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Andrews, seconded by Commissioner Walter, about directing the Policy Review Committee to look at the millage proposal, advisory committees for all those places that have millages.
Goes to look at, that's the key words in there.
Yeah, like bring proposed language that'll come up to the board for eventual consideration.
Yeah, they don't get to change anything without our approval, but they can make recommendations. if
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have.
we'll just, the committee will look at
I
it.
think it's a great idea. Any more comments, questions, concerns on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Thank you, everyone. Back to Commissioner Administration reports. Anybody else? Commissioner McAllister.
So it looks like they got the roundabout finished out in Interlaken, so we can go south on J. Matty Parkway if you're headed from the east. You can go north on South Long Lake Road if you're headed from the east. So they're ahead of schedule by a few days. They said by the 4th of July, so they opened it up yesterday, which was very exciting. And we do have the new restaurant, the Hammered Heifer, out in Interlaken. If you guys haven't been, you should go take a visit. It's a cool spot.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Spence, I saw your hand, Joe, real
sure.
quick.
I just wanted to remind all commissioners that on July 22nd, Daryl Lavender, the CEO of the Grand Traverse Pavilion, sent out a nice invitation to all of us to come and drop by. They're having a picnic between 10:30 and 3 p.m., which the pavilions is a really great asset to our county, and I thought you all might want to go along with me after our meeting, because it's a Wednesday.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson.
I want to thank the members of our team that came up with the July 8th day of celebration and service. I myself have signed up for July 8th. I'm working at the Milk Carton Boat Regatta in honor of my parents who started that, I think, in like 1974 or so. I'm really hoping that I'm not up to my shoulders in the water holding boats getting ready, because I'll probably be blue by the end of the day. But I encourage my fellow commissioners to sign up for something at the Cherry Festival to help that day. And then the other thing is, I don't want to pass the opportunity today to acknowledge our 250th anniversary of this country, the Great Experiment, and we're still going strong. And though we may not be perfect, I think we got the best thing going here. So as we go into this
100%.
weekend, let's think about all the hard work that was done by our founding fathers to get us here today.
Well said. Commissioner Henschel.
I just wanted to highlight a couple of ribbon cutting recently at the Cherry Capital Airport, and it's a good opportunity to remind people what the airport does. It does not operate airplanes. It provides a runway, and it provides spaces for private citizens and companies to operate and provide the services that make air travel possible and convenient here in Grand Traverse County. So AbFlight is our FBO, fixed-based operator, and that's kind of the private side of the airport. They recently had a ribbon cutting celebrating a new building, new facilities for people operating private, not generally airline travel, but smaller travel. And also Cherry Country Cafe recently did a nice expansion. Take a flight, check that out. More room, more amenities, and they did a really nice job. It looks really sharp, so have a look at that when you can.
Do you have to take a flight to go visit it?
Pretty much, yeah. Unless you have a reason to be in the secure area, you really can't go up there. But if you contact the airport director, your commissioners could get a tour, and they could arrange that for you if you arrange it in advance.
Bring your jackknife.
Thank you. Commissioner Morris, have you had anything?
Yes. You all have heard the date September 10th. That is the date for Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Public Hearing. We're required to have one of those each year. And in the past, it has kind of been okay, we got to do this, so let's do it. But this year, we had a community engagement committee formed, and we really want the community to engage in our community mental health. So we got marching orders the last meeting, and those marching orders include having each person who sits on the board have a list of people that they would like to see show up at the public hearing. And y'all's names are on that list, just so you know. So it's gonna be from 11 to 1 on September 10th. We'll have multiple locations. Number 1 being at the Hall Street location, third level boardroom, and we'll also have Misaki County location, Roscommon County, and Crawford County location. So we plan on having a really big to-do this year because our community engagement is very important as we move forward at Northern Lakes. So 11-1.
Thank you. Commissioner Flynn, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm good.
Commissioner Andrews?
I'm good.
As am I. To the right of me, gentlemen, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so July 8th, Commissioner Nelson brought this up. We have in the packet a request for commissioners to be included in any way, shape, or form that you wish to be included. Jenny has been spearheading the volunteerism aspect of this. She's been working with the Cherry Festival, so if you have questions about how to get engaged in some level of volunteering, Jenny is here to answer those questions now, or you may contact her later. Also, on July 8th, we have the picnic that we will be having a pig roast for at the Civic Center for volunteers and for community, our staff, etc. That will be from 12:30 to 2:30, Jenny, and that will be hosted by Ebles. So we're grateful for the partnership there. We'll have all sorts of lawn games. We're trying to get jarts. I don't think that's probably appropriate anymore, but
I don't want to be a catcher.
So we've got some different.
Those are banned.
They
I
are.
thought they
They are.
It's really a bad idea when you think about it.
missed mine.
So we're looking forward to it. We've had a great response from employees, and I'll be talking with Kat Pay and inviting her volunteers as well for that day of celebration. July 9th is the parade that we will be involved in, and we have things prepared for that. We are encouraging staff in large capacity to come spread the cheer. And Jenny has, what did we decide, 900 pounds, 90 pounds of candy?
180 pounds of candy.
Oh, wow.
And
Obscene amount of candy. Hopefully enough.
we're
Probably
going to
not.
double it.
Yeah.
Because of the response is just, poor kids at, Union and Lake don't get any candy.
poor kids.
Those poor kids. So we're going to spread the wealth.
I'm calling the balloon gun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
The bubble guns, yeah.
Yeah, the bubble gun.
We have extra this year, not to worry.
Any questions about July 8th or 9th before I move on?
Question on the 8th, I'm a little confused on, is it open to the public? It's called like a community picnic?
It is intended to celebrate everybody's volunteerism, community spirit. So we'll be at the Civic Center. If they're there, they can enjoy the food as well.
Open to anyone? Okay.
And the starting time of that, again?
12:30.
12:30.
Okay.
So we will be
Vince Ebles is
closing.
good.
I'm sorry. We will be closing the buildings at noon, with the exception of the courts. The courts have
In charge?
procedures that day, so they can't close, but the rest of the county will be closed to include them in that celebration. So if you have questions, please ask Jenny about volunteer opportunities. July 9th through the 11th, Grand Traverse County will be hosting the MAC conference at the resort. Chairman Seifert has been asked to.
Not July.
September.
I'm sorry. Did I say
September.
I was
We
like,
did.
oh, what
In the
is?
middle of
What? It's okay.
It right here, it says
We know.
September 11th, 9th through the 11th. So yeah, September 9th through the 11th is the MAC conference at the resort. Chairman Seifert has been asked to open the ceremonies, and we have been requested to create some type of a ceremonial event surrounding the events of 9/11. I've asked the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Shea specifically, if they would be interested in having some type of an honor guard presentation for the morning of the 11th, and he's looking into that, so I'm grateful for that, Sheriff. And last but certainly not least, yesterday, late in the day, Mr. Bott and our auditors were successful in submitting the audit to the state of Michigan. That was no small feat. As you're aware of some of the challenges that we've had with records, not that there's anything improper about what's been going on in the financial aspect of our operations. Recording, recognizing, having the records available to us has been a challenge. So I commend Dean and his staff for stepping in and taking on a larger piece of that work to get that audit in. It's a big deal. He's also submitted qualifying statements for bonding purposes, and important to us as we move forward in all of our new facility discussions. So I'm grateful for Dean and his staff.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you.
So I just wanted to give the Board of Commissioners a brief update on Project Alpha. The Building Authority met yesterday to get a progress report from Cunningham Limp and review the second pay application for the project. That will be what the Building Authority received yesterday will be on the July 15th meeting agenda, and Bobby Ploplinski and Kyle Sweener plan to attend that meeting. Right now, foundations are being poured for both buildings with building envelope to follow after that within the next 4 weeks. And then we've had great meetings on furniture, fixture, and equipment, and we've got a good plan in place to get that taken care of within the next 6 months.
If you have not been up there, the construction trailer on the west side of that construction zone is usually occupied by a gentleman named Patrick. He's available to you to give you a tour, give you an explanation of what you're seeing here, kind of a thing. What goes beyond, and I'm not familiar with this type of activity, that's why I sit here and not in a field with a shovel. There's a lot that goes on between breaking ground and building a building. The geothermal well in and of itself, he explained to me they had 24 wells up to 500 feet deep in a very short, small area, relatively speaking, that will heat and cool those facilities, so the EOC. So it's amazing to hear what they're doing and see what they're doing. And I just encourage you to get out there, talk to Patrick, get a hard hat and a vest, and take a tour.
Good. Anything else? Anyone? Move on to second public comment, I guess.
Can I add something? I thought Mr.
Please.
Gedman would share this, but absentee ballots are out. I just put my ballot in the box down there today, voting for the primary. Make sure you get out and vote.
Absolutely.
Okay, you want
They've
to
been
add
working-
anything
They've
to
been
that?
working hard. The clerks they've done their preliminary testing, and everything went well, and ballots went out on time. So that's our favorite way for them to go out. And, they're coming back already, so
Great.
get out there and vote if you haven't.
Fantastic. All right, so thank you. Anyone else before I go on? Second public comment, same rules as before. If you'd like to speak, please come up to the podium now. Once, twice, 3 times. We're not seeing any of that. So if there is no objections, we are adjourned.
What?
What?
It's a record.
Wait, you guys want to talk?